This is Average Joe Finances Podcast, Episode 9.
After you get done with your 9 to 5, what are you doing 5 to 9 where you can possibly bring in some more money and maybe have some multiple streams of income so that you're not just multiple streams of income is basically saying, I don't want to risk being at my job and having my job the only source of my income, because if something goes wrong with that job, now I'm depressed and I don't have enough to pay my bills. What can we do to say, hey, I can maybe do this business, or I can start this? There are so many ways to make money on the internet.
Welcome to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Are you trying to get out of debt, invest, or just not sure where to start? Then this is the place for you. We discuss different ways to get out of the rat race and build your wealth. Join us on this wild ride to financial freedom.
The Average Joe Finances Podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Do not use this for any real estate or investment making decisions. All views by myself or our guests are solely our own and do not reflect the opinion of our employers. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are on part 2 with our interview with Eric Bowie. This is a really exciting episode where we discuss his actual financial coaching and money management coaching that he gives to his clients. It's really interesting when we talk about his 4 principles, and we're going to get into that right now. So the third topic that you had up here was your one-on-one coaching. And you said that you have 4 money principles that you like to talk about for maximizing personal finances. And that was money mindset, money mainstays, money management, and money multipliers. Can you talk a little bit to that?
Sure. All right. So one of the things that I do as far as one-on-one coaching is concerned is I try to look at, take a person where they are, and also understand that, finances can be personal for a lot of people. Everybody's situation is slightly different. And then, everybody's where they come from is slightly different in terms of how they approach money and what their perceptions and perspective is about money and spending. So I try to get a feel for that, and I usually do that. So I usually say that there's 4 steps that we use, or there is 4 steps that we use to help people maximize their money. So the first step we use is what we call money mindset. I like to get a feel for the people that I work with one-on-one. Where are they at in terms of money? In terms of how do they think about money? How are they taught about money? Because a lot of times, how we were taught about money kind of trickles down to how we actually use money and think about money in our older age. So I like to get a background, a feel for what you believe and think about money. And so that's kind of all in the money mindset first step. It's also a step that allows me to ask you, what are your goals about money? What do you want to do with money? Do you have long-term goals? Do you want to retire with what is kind of working itself backwards, if you will? Where do you want to be in terms of money or finances in your future? Also, I kind of use that piece of money mindset in that first step to say, let's put money in its proper perspective, understanding that money is a tool. It's something that we use. It's not good. It's not bad. It can be used. It's kind of like fire or water. It can be used for good or bad, but it's just a tool. And our goal is to say, how can we use that tool to kind of help us out and get us where we want to go in terms of, and it also gives us a chance to talk about giving and the importance of making sure that we understand just a general law that says, when you give, you get back. And so we use that opportunity to say, hey, where are you at? What are your goals? How do you feel? What's your philosophy about money and giving and things like that? So that's kind of the first step. We call that money mindset, kind of digging into where you are about money. The second piece is more about money mainstay. I call it money mainstay. It's where you are. What is the mainstay or the main way you earn money right now? Is it a job? And if it's a job, tell us a little bit about that job and tell us what you're doing on that job, because that's your biggest source of income right now. Typically, it's a job for most of us. It's where are you getting your stable monthly income from? Perhaps it's a part-time job and a full-time job. Perhaps you're a business owner. But we want to establish where's the largest source of your income coming from, And then we want to make sure that we're maxing out all of that. So if there's a retirement plan at your job that's offering some type of match to what you contribute, are you utilizing that at least up to the max? Because obviously that's going to up to the match. I'm sorry, at least up to the match, so that you are taking advantage of any free money that might be on the table as well. So we're looking at your mainstay. What's the current way that you're actually getting income right now? Now, that was step 2. For the third step, we look at money management. And this is probably the most important part, because I like to say that most people really don't have a money problem. At least most people in the societies that are more advanced, they don't really have a money problem. A lot of people have a management problem. And being able to manage what you actually bring in is a huge issue. So in the money management phase, we try to look at your budget. How does your income, what you're bringing in, how does that mesh with your expenses? What's going out? How can we trim that down so that what you're actually sending out the door is less than what you're bringing in the door? And so we look at how are you managing the money? How are you managing any residual or leftover money each month? And that's all about your discipline around money. And so this is when we start talking about any frivolous spending you may have, any impulse purchases that you may do. And we want to try to talk about how can we curb those things? How can we get discipline around the money that we have? And for a lot of people, that's the biggest issue. They make the right money. They make enough money to pay all their bills because they're surviving every month for the most part, most people. But how are they actually disciplining themselves around that money to ensure they have enough money to possibly invest, enough money to possibly pay off debt, and just making sure that money is managed properly so they can do some of the things they want to do, have some money left over to invest and so forth. So we spent a lot of time digging into the minutia of managing the money. And so then the fourth step, that was step 3, the final step is saying, what can we do to actually earn more money? You know, what are some of the things that you really enjoy on the side after you get done with your 9 to 5? What are you doing 5 to 9 where you can possibly bring in some more money and maybe have some multiple streams of income, so that you're not just so multiple streams of income is basically saying, I don't want to risk being at my job and having my job the only source of my income, because if something goes wrong with that job, now I'm depressed and I don't have enough to pay my bills. What can we do to say, hey, I can maybe do this business, or I can start this? There are so many ways to make money on the internet. And everybody has a hobby or something they like to do. I always like to say that everybody is born with a gift and a purpose and a talent that they're supposed to share with the world. And a lot of times what happens is the job takes us from that. And so we're no longer looking at what our purposes and what our gifts and what our talents are. We put those on the back burner and we start working this 9 to 5 job just to pay bills. And so we want to get you ultimately in step 4 out of that mindset and into the mindset of, what do I do well? What do I love? What would I do for free if money wasn't an object? And saying, hey, how can I monetize those things to actually, hey, come up with some other ways of making some income? Perhaps I take a hobby. Perhaps I like playing golf. And I say, man, okay, I love playing golf, but how can I maybe use that to maybe start my own business? Can I sell some products? Can I even do something as simple as go work at the golf course? Right? So just whatever it takes to make some extra money in an area that you love to do. Perhaps it's talking to people and, your name is Mike and you live in Hawaii and you love talking to people about money. How can I start a podcast, to maybe see if I can monetize that? So I'm just saying that everybody has something they love to do and they have a purpose on this earth and on this planet. And I'm saying, let's find your gifts and your talents and things you love to do and want to do, and let's turn those into money. How can we do that for you? And I want you to understand about the 4 steps. We don't approach the 4th step of making extra money. We don't take them out of line, because if you try to approach making extra money and you haven't really understood how to manage your money in step 3, then all you're doing is making more money, and you're gonna blow that extra money as well. So we try to take these steps in order. What do you think about money? Step 1. What's your philosophy? Step 2. What are you currently doing? And how can we make sure that you're best utilizing your current forms of money and what you're bringing in? Step 3, managing the money you have. And then later down the road, we'll talk about extra income. But a lot of people, they want to skip to that. Hey, I'm thinking about starting a business, but I got $200,000 in debt, and I don't know how to manage the money I currently have. And I haven't even thought about what I think about money. And maybe so we try to take them in order so that by the time we get to making extra money and you digging into your hobbies and so forth, you've got everything else together and in line, and you're ready. So that's kind of what I do in terms of the one-on-one coaching is really walking people through those 4 steps to get to where they want to be. I want to help ordinary people like me be extraordinary with their money. But it's a process. So that's kind of what I do on this as far as one-on-one coaching.
All right. That's awesome. You sound like just a regular, everyday, average Joe. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I really love it. Your 4 steps, that's fantastic. It reminds me so much of what I've done in my journey as I'm going along too, right? I really like what you said about, people putting money in its proper perspective and how it can be used for good or for bad. But the most important thing is that money's a tool, right? How do we use that tool? That's the important part. Also having that mindset of giving. As a matter of fact, my most recent post that I released last night, I was talking about how this guy on Reddit received 7,000 shares of Apple from his grandfather that passed, right? And I was talking about what I would do with that money, and I think one of the things that people probably didn't expect is I said, after I've invested everything and I'm getting this now leveraged income, right, from investing in real estate, different dividend paying stocks and this and that or whatever. I said, hey, I would take 10% of all of that and donate it every year. So I had it set up where I was making about $475,000 a year if I leverage it the way that I did. One of the things that I talk about with my clients as well, right, because I actually started doing financial coaching and budgeting consultation too, is the importance of having that mentality to give back. Because like you said, when you give, you get back. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm actually a tither. I like to tithe and give to my local church. And so I tithe a piece of the money, and that, all the things I do. And over the years, I've been blessed to have so much. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that I am a giver, and I like to tithe and give to folks that need more, that don't have more. I think that's a really important principle. And you really don't go broke when you're giving to others. Okay. Right. So I think it's really important. And people say, well, wow, you give so much away. Well, I get so much back. And I think part of that is from the giving. And so I think that's a really important piece that I think a lot of people in the money space miss. Right.
And the other thing too, is it's not just what you're getting back is not just monetary in nature, right? It's also that satisfaction, that self-gratification that you did something to help humanity, mankind in your own way. To me, man, that means so much. When you're able to give back, it's just so important, right? Let's take a quick break from today's episode to hear from our show sponsors. Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Mike Cav with Average Joe Finances. We're living in some pretty tough times right now. And if you don't have life insurance, you should probably get it. You need to protect yourself, protect your family, and protect what you own. Check out the link below in the show notes or in the video description. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Mike Cav from Average Joe Finances. Just want to talk to you today about Prep Agent. If you're interested in learning how to become a real estate agent and being able to pass the test on your first try, check out Prep Agent at www.prepagent.com. Use code AVGJOE, that's Average Joe, AVGJOE, to get an additional 20% off. Welcome back, everybody. Let's get back into it.
You're listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast. Whether it's single or multifamily real estate, the stock market, or side hustles, we discuss it all. Strap in and enjoy the ride.
The other thing that you talked about was your money mainstay, right? And that is, how are you making your money right now? what you're doing with your employer. If your employer is giving you money towards a 401k or anything like that, matching that, maxing it out to what they match. Because I've talked about this in my 7 Steps to Financial Freedom. If you're not matching what your employer, or you're not giving what your employer would match, you're leaving money on the table. Like, that's free money that you're just saying, I don't need it. I mean, if that's, if you're making enough money to where you can just put, 1, 2, or 3% away, and, your employer says, hey, I'll match 5. And I'm not going to worry about that other 2%. Well, hey, good for you. You're probably making some really good money. But that's free money, man. Don't let that get away. So that is definitely.
Mike, can I jump in on that?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so one of the things I did when I was a school teacher for 7 years, when I left teaching school in the year 2000 or so, 2001, when I left teaching school, I had $30,000 of retirement money. That $30,000 of retirement money, I didn't cash it out, because if you cash it out, obviously you pay a lot of penalty. So what I did with that $30,000 was, when I started working for the federal government in 2002, I took that $30,000 and I had it transferred over to the government's retirement system. And so I never saw a penny of that money, because obviously I didn't want to pay that penalty. Now that sounds real basic to people that are in the money space like you and I, but there's a lot of people that don't know that. So that if you don't want to have that money come to you, you want to just transfer it over to your new job, wherever that may be, to their retirement system. And so that's what I did. I had $30,000 in the year 2000. I had a negative net worth in the year 2000. When I say negative, I'm talking, I had a house that was it was a small house, but it was probably worth about $35,000. We owed about $50,000 of student loans, and we owed another $20,000 on a car. And so I had a negative net worth when I brought that $30,000 over to the federal government, just by, over the years, putting money from the federal government into that. The federal government calls it a thrift savings plan, a TSP. So, but just by putting that money into a TSP and then adding additional money, it's been miraculous over the years. One of the ways you mentioned early on that I was able to grow my net worth to nearly 600,000. But the reason is actually threefold, but we'll stay on the 2 possibly. One of the things I did was I just steady over the years put money into that now TSP. After the year 2001, when I stopped teaching, I just put money in steadily. And I wasn't maxing it out or anything like that, but I was putting money in on a regular, steady basis with each paycheck automatically, a certain percentage. So the other thing I did was after about 2008 or 9, I did not accumulate any extra debt. So the one thing that people don't do with their net worth is people are always worried about trying to make more money. How do I make more money? I want to do this. I want to make more money on my job. I want to go out and get more money, more income. But most people don't focus on the other side of the equation. It's not just the income side, but it's the liability side if you're trying to grow your net worth. Focus, it's okay. Your income is going to increase steadily as you get older, because your greatest earning years are in your 40s and 50s anyway. But it's the expenses side of your budget, and it's the liability side of your income statement for your net worth. That's what you want to focus on a lot more. And one of the things we didn't do is, after about 2008 or 9, we stopped borrowing money. Okay, we made it a point. I haven't borrowed money since 2009. I think 11 years or so. I don't have a credit card. I haven't got a car loan. I buy all my cars cash. Quick plug. Also on my website, smartmoneybro.com, I wrote a book about how to buy cars cash. What to actually look for. It's probably 70 pages of details of exactly what to look for, because half the cars I've ever bought in my life were cash. And so over the last several years, last 9 years or so, I bought everything cash. And so we just stopped borrowing money. And so, we paid attention to the liability side of the equation. We said, okay, our income is going up. Our values of our properties are going up. Great. But if we're still out buying cars on loans and credit cards, then we're not really up in the equation of our net worth. So I always implore people to look at the expense side of your budget on a monthly basis. How can you lower that? Also look at the liability side of your income statement when you're talking about growing your net worth. And I think people miss that. So we said, hey, we're going to contribute to our retirement fund, and we're going to also not accumulate more debt. And just doing just taking those two simple principles over the course of 10, 15 years, 20 years, your net worth is going to go up just by doing those two simple things. Contribute to your retirement fund and stop accumulating debt.
Since we're talking about net worth, I also want to add too, one of the things that's helped me actually build my net worth up quickly was actually investing in real estate. You know, once you buy these properties and you fix them up and you have that equity, man, that really adds a lot to your back end. But you mentioned TSP, right? The thrift savings plan. So me being in the Navy, I currently have that as well. But because I'm under the old retirement system, they don't match what I put in. So I contribute what I can to that. Like it's not much, but for me, it's still something that when I retire from the Navy, I'm going to roll it over into like a Roth IRA. One of the beautiful things that they did a couple of years ago was actually give us the option to have a Roth TSP. So I actually stopped contributing to the standard TSP and then just contributed to the Roth. Sometimes, depending on how my income is looking for the year, I'll contribute some more to the standard TSP because it actually helps put me in a lower tax bracket. Just one of those little hacks you can do to pay Uncle Sam a little less money, right? I mean, he pays me, but if I can give as little back as possible, that's what I'd like to do. All right. So the third thing that you had talked about here is money management, right? So it's not about having a money problem. People don't have a money problem. They have a management problem. And basically talking about how does your income mesh with your expenses, and how do you use your residual money? So you said at this step, this is when you're talking with your clients about building a budget. And I like what you talk about with what are you doing with your residual income, right? Because one of the things I talk about with my clients as well is after we build their budget and we take a look at their income and their expenses, and then they realize, hey, I've got some cash left over. What am I really spending my money on? And it makes them really step back and take a look and think that, hey, if you actually, if you were really being strict and disciplined, meal prepped and set all your food up for work, that you're going to bring your own food to work, you're not going out to eat and things like that, the amount of money that you can save, especially for those that are in debt and you're trying to get out of debt, that residual income at the end of each paycheck or pay period or month, now you've got this bulk of money, this little stash that you can start snowballing all of that debt and just completely get rid of it. So I really like that you talk about something very similar. I want to say right now that Smart Money Bro gives some really good advice. So definitely check
Thanks,
him out.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that, man.
Oh yeah, fantastic. And then the final thing you talked about was your money multipliers. The key thing that stuck out to me, which I thought was absolutely awesome, is, hey, you know what you're doing during your 9 to 5, but what are you doing during your 5 to 9 to continue making money? And one of the things that I like about that, and one of the things that I like to talk about too, is like, how do you make money while you're sleeping, right? What are you doing to build these income streams? So what you're talking about is building multiple income streams and doing it with something that you enjoy or something that you love, using me as an example, right? And I appreciate that. Thank you. But like what I'm doing right now, I don't make much money from my blog, and I'm not making any money from the podcast or YouTube channel yet. However, my plan is to build this over the next 4 years until I retire from the Navy, that maybe it will be something. And I think the way that it's going, the momentum that I have right now, I think it will be. But one of the things that I just did.
Be patient with it. Don't rush it.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Continue to innovate.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the things that I just did, and I've been working on this for a while, was I just finished all my requirements for my real estate license.
Right.
So,
excellent.
Yeah. So one of the things that I did last week is I just went and signed up with a brokerage. Next week, I'm going to turn everything into the state. So by the time this episode airs, I'll be a licensed realtor. So
congratulations, man.
Thank you. I'm really excited because real estate has become my passion. And the reason why I want to talk about why it's my passion is because one of the things that you said about these money multipliers, making it be something, and real estate for me is something, that I enjoy. And what I'm doing right now with this podcast, talking with you, with the blog and everything, my engagement on social media with the Average Joe Finances groups and everything, I love it. Like, and I don't know, as I make money off of it, I don't know if I could really consider this work when it's something that I enjoy so much. And what I'm really excited about is when I retire from the Navy, like this is going to be what I do is,
Excellent.
this and real estate. And man, what's better than that? You know?
That's right. When you find what you really enjoy doing, it's kind of like what your purpose is. Everybody's purpose is really to help out other people in some form or fashion. Whether your purpose may be, building computers, whatever your purpose or your gift is, it's to help out your other fellow human beings that share the planet. But it makes it, when you find what you love doing and you enjoy it, then it doesn't really feel like work. I mean, you can't wait to get up in the morning, or you can't wait. In our cases, might be to get off work so you can actually attack and do what you want to do. And that's what it's all about when it comes to money multipliers. It's just finding, and you may not make a ton of money doing it, right? But here's the kicker. When you really find what you really love doing, you're going to have the motivation to go out and be better and be better and be better, and you're going to get better and better and better at it. That's the motivation, because you enjoy doing it. You like what you do. And so I think that's the kicker in terms of trying to get multiple streams of income. I really enjoy the flipping on eBay. I enjoy being able to walk into a Goodwill store, take a quick glance around. Oh, those are some nice Prada loafers over there. Man, I can get them for $30, but I know I can flip them on eBay for $200. Man, I just enjoy that, right? Or I see that wonderful pair of boots over there, and I say, wow, I know I can flip that. I enjoy doing that. I enjoy sourcing, and some people call it shopping, right? But I try not to call it shopping, right? But it's just sourcing. So I really enjoy that. When it comes to rental properties, I love being able to help a family find a good place to stay and help them, take care of their property and all that good stuff. There's some money that comes from it, but I enjoy it. When it comes down to sitting down with somebody one-on-one, going through their personal finances and figuring out how I can help them have an aha moment, if you will, that's enjoyable. So everything I do on the side, I like doing it. And at the same time, I can make a little bit of money at it. And if something happens with my 9 to 5, I know that I can do eBay full time if I had to, because I understand it thoroughly and have been doing it a while, and I know how to scale it. But hey, that's what it's all about. And that's the final step. When I talk to people, it's the final step is figuring out what is your purpose to be here? What do you enjoy doing? A lot of times you're going to find your purpose in what you enjoy doing. And a lot of times it could be your gift. I always tell people, don't necessarily follow what your passion is, because passion I think is a word that's overused. Sometimes it's your skills. So I have a passion to play in the NBA. I always want to be a point guard, right? Take that ball down the court. I just want to go down the court one time against Steph Curry, okay? But
good luck.
It's my passion. And I coached basketball for about 12 years, so I know a lot about it. It's my passion, but I ain't no good at it. I'm only 5'9", right? I can't, so, but it's not a part of what my skill set is, what my natural skill set is. And there's ways you can find out what you're gifted at. Maybe for some people, it's the thing that makes you the most angry in life. Maybe it's something that angers you, but doesn't anger everybody else. Maybe your gift to the planet is how you are able to fix whatever you're most angry about. Maybe it's the skill set that you've acquired. Maybe you've been a secretary for 30 years or 20 years or 10 years, and you have an amazing ability to organize things and to keep things in order. Maybe that's a part of your gift. Maybe you've been an electrician for a long time and you're able to walk in and say, so maybe it's a skill or something that you have that you don't. And I try to help people find that, because a lot of people don't know what it is. A lot of people are aimless. They don't know exactly what they're here for, what their purpose is, what their gifts are. Sometimes I tell people, what were you doing when you were 10 years old that you enjoyed doing and was the most wonderful thing in the world? Maybe that's part of what you're supposed to be doing now. And how do we turn that into, how do you make a little bit of money from that? Perhaps it's only a little bit of money. Perhaps you can ultimately maybe it's drawing. Okay. People make millions of dollars drawing every day. But so everybody has that gift and purpose. And one of the things I try to do with step 4 is helping people find that gift or that purpose, or that special skill they have. They just been saying, well, I just been doing that for years. Maybe I've been singing on the side for years for the church or something. I never thought about maybe I can, sing or play the piano or the organ and make some money at it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's going to be it for today's episode, but be sure to stay tuned next week as we continue on this discussion with Eric Bowie. Hey, if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button and click subscribe. Also, if you're listening to this as a podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our newest episodes. Be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. All the links are in the description below.
Thanks for listening to the Average Joe Finances Podcast, your source for beating debt, saving money, and investing. Learn more at averagejoefinances.com.